For latest updates and short audio clips, follow us on Instagram, Reading the Author.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast Reading the Author, a unique show where we read authors' mind and not their book. Meanwhile, I truly believe and pray that you and your families are completely safe and healthy as well. Today we have Kochery C Shibu sir with us, the author of Faith and the Beloved. Today's episode is a recorded interview which was already aired a month ago, and with the full consent of the author, we are uploading it here in a podcast format. For more details, check the description.
Hello everyone, I'm Sonal from the blogger duo Meenal Sonal. Welcome you all to the Aura Author Interviews. Faith, trust, honesty. These all virtues should be there in our loved ones. And if they are not present and if they betray us, what will happen? How a person deal with such betray, the distrust. All these factors, all these aspects are very well explained in a fiction titled Faith and the Beloved by author Kochery C Shibu. Today in our Aura Author Interviews, we are hosting Sir Shibu sir and we'll get to know the secrets about the crime thriller and what is the thought process around the book. Hello sir.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening sir. How are you doing? Yes.
Can you hear me or can you see me?
Yes sir, we can hear you.
And can you see me?
Yes sir, we can see you.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yes, sir. I was telling to my viewers the virtues of an honest man, like in the faith and the trust, which are the factors which will look. And your book, Faith and the Beloved, deals with these virtues to the depth. So firstly, we would like to know how, like you have served in Navy and you have commanded 2 warships, and then what brought you to the literary world? What was that one path, like when you have decided, like, I need to pen a story?
Oh, that goes back a long time. It goes back even before the Navy. It starts from my school days. So the writer was there way back in my school days. It's just that after you join the National Defence Academy and as a career soldier, there is not much scope for anything other than matters military. So that when you're in uniform, you're talking tactics, warfare, strategy, torpedo, missiles, that kind of stuff. So the writer had to kind of remain dormant for that duration. And it is only natural that the passion came out live once I came out. So it is only when I came out and when I was working on a hydroelectric project in 2009 that I finally started writing my book. And the first book took me 4 years to write. Then that was in 2015. Then the next book took me 2 years to write. So the writing part has always been there with me, wherever I am, irrespective of when in uniform you're writing military matters. When you're outside, yes, you could come back to and write this kind of a story.
Okay. So, and the book, like Faith and the Beloved.
Yes.
It deals with very a subject which is close to each and everyone's heart. Like everyone wants a partner to be faithful and honest. You have in your story, like when the characters, they turn the shades. So do you believe like every person has circumstances make the persons to change? Do you believe that?
No, not in that sense. Actually, it's a little more broad spectrum than that. To say that behavior of an individual is a reflection of his or her value system. The value system in our society comes from family, schooling, religion, society. 4 major contributors during the formative years. That's up to the age of about 11 or 12. After that, of course, the individual starts discerning and being, decision making on what you do. So the value system of individuals does change substantially from what background or what kind of environment he or she has grown up in, and what do you value in life. So the whole question is, it is not so much about right and wrong, it's about value system as to what you believe is right. So I've tried not to be judgmental, but I'm sure many of the times the readers may not agree with the actions of some of the characters. They may think they're, it is incorrect or, beyond the social norms, but then that is how it is. So the whole concept is, faith is in the sense of belief in what you believe in. So it's a value system. It is not related to any one particular aspect. It is not only relationships, but overall. And beloved is what happens when you're loved ones. There comes a point when you have to cross the line and to stand in for your dear ones. And it does not happen to majority of the people most of the times, but it does happen to some of the people some of the time. So this story is about how people stand, and that's the title itself describes the whole thing.
The title itself describes, and it has a heart also shaped on it. And when we look very closely, we come to know, like later on when we read the chapters, we come to know like what actually this heart is. I'm not disclosing much here because I want the readers to keep interest in the book and keep on going with the book. So, sir, like in your book, like all the characters which you have sketched, like they are chapter wise chapter, like be it Prem Ronalds or be it Alice or other characters, Tony, like the way you have characters. But you have not started interlinking it from the initial chapters itself. Like when a person goes through the half of the book, then they get to know how they all are related. So how did you start drafting these, sir? How was it?
So actually, if you see the blueprint of the book is there in the first chapter. If you later on you'll realize it towards the end that the first chapter has given kind of hint on what is to happen in future. And the first chapter is kind of a formative chapter to which everything or everybody does get linked. So the effort here has been that as you develop each of the characters and try to sketch them. So one of the reasons why the characters are in detail is to make sure that they have a past which justifies their present, and that everyone is in a shade of grey. Nobody is black, nobody is white. And as in real life, I really don't believe there is anybody black or anybody white. All are in shades of grey. So in a crime thriller, when you write, always there is a certain amount of challenge to the reader. He or she has to keep her wits about them when you're reading the first chapter. And in each chapter, there are clues given as to how it is going to link up. If you rush through and you miss those, then by the time you reach chapter 5 or 6, then you'll have to go back again. As to either the thing is jumbled up or you're not able to link up. One of the two. So it takes a lot of time and effort to do this, to have the blueprint in the first chapter and kind of opening up the story chapter wise. And at some point they'll see that okay, all these things are linking up.
Yes.
But it does require a discerning reader also. That's a requirement. So maybe I am expecting too much of the readers, but okay, but that is what it is.
Yes, like it took around like I do parallel reading, so it took around 20 days for me to complete the book, because you need to be very attentive while you are reading this book. You can't read the book while you are watching a TV or you are talking to someone else. You can't read it because we are very sure that we may skip a point and we may miss the clue which you are seeing in the chapter-wise chapter. Very brilliantly done, sir. I must say. The pointers are very brilliant. And when we read the last chapter, like when we come to the last chapters, and when the officer also tries to, link each and everything, and that time also we ourselves become a detective and we try linking it. Oh, that this must be the possibility, or this must be the possibility. that's the best part of the crime thriller stories, I must say. So, and I would like to ask you one more thing about. You have mentioned in your preface and at the end of the book that few of the characters in the book are inspired from the real life, or like you have come across such persons and you have sketched them more detailedly in the book. So, can you share few thoughts on this?
Of course, but when I say are inspired from people whom I have met. So let's say the main character is an IIT IIM lady.
Yes.
I have met ladies who are of that caliber, IIT IIM ladies who have handled business, but they are not criminals, nor have they done any crimes.
Yes.
So when I am saying inspired by means, it is not that they have gone through a life like this. To say that there are women like this who are talented, who are IIT IIM products, and who also handle businesses.
Yes.
So that is one part. So when I say inspired means, it is not that for heroine read X and then second character read Y. No, it is not in that sense.
Sure.
But what I mean to say is that similarly, when I talk about, let's say, someone you're talking about, let's say the Sri Lankan character who's lost his parents. Now, this is based on a true incident which happened in the Colombo riots in the 80s. And this is based on a true incident. There was a case where the mob set fire to a Tamil family, and the father actually came out and took his children, and they decided to die together. Of course, there were no children left in that. Here we are keeping one back and continuing the story. So, such kind of thing. When I say inspired means either people or events, or let's say when I'm talking about in that way, there's a visit to Banjul and a place called Gambia in West Africa, from where the slave trade originally started. That is the start point of slave trade, where Britishers had set up there, from where they used to capture all these blacks, put them in prison, and then send them in ships. So there, and the diamond trade through that country was also again kind of based on some kind of historical facts, that there was a time when Zimbabwe was blacklisted by the world community for their apartheid or their problems in connection relationship with the world. So they were selling diamonds in the black, and terror organizations used to buy from them because they had to get money. So in that many ways, some of the incidents, and some of the people, or even let's say if you're talking about the caste equations of the country, wherein you're showing that two brothers and how they have been mauled by the caste system. Again, based on some people whom I've actually met, who have been victims of let's say the caste victimization. So whilst it is not individually somebody who's representing, but then it is, let's say, inspired from events of people which are, in our India's a big country, 1 billion people, it's 1 billion stories. So in that sense, yes. But there is nobody directly you can say that, for this character, meet this person in real life. No.
Yes. And I must say, like, the book also deals with the subtle aspects of life, like such as have you done the inequality of the religion or the caste system, which is being prevailed till now, and how a single woman who is traveling, how society looks up to her. So all those things in a very, these all are very sideline, but they play a major role in your book, Faith and the Beloved. So one of the important aspect, like when I read a book, is like I always look for a hope in the story. So if the book is starting with a dark plot also, like I would also always want to have a hope in the end. What do you think, like in thriller stories, in the crime thriller stories also, is hope an important part? Or do you think like we can leave it?
I would say it is. It is an important part. See, why in not only in thriller stories, in any time, anywhere, any place, it's always that, it's always the hope which keeps you alive, keeps you going. It doesn't matter how bad this environment is, how bad the situation is. So, even in this kind of stories, even though it starts dark and there are so many things which are going wrong, then you will also feel that there are some things which are going right. And at the end, you should feel that, that there is a kind of hope even for the reader. And I also believe that it is important because it's about value systems, that even the readers should feel that whatever is happening is, many of the readers feel very disturbed reading about the underbelly of the society. So many of the people, and especially people who are, what I call them, the WhatsApp warriors and the drawing room readers who do not really step out into the society, they really get upset when you say that, that there is a real world out there which can be so nasty and mean. But I guess, that is, that's a reality. It's a part of our society. Not everything is pleasant. Majority of the time, most of the places, most of the people are okay. But in our society, every place has got some problems which happens once in a while, and there are some victims who are affected. But then one of the things that I'm trying to tell them is that, even for the new generation people, it doesn't matter whether there is technology which is developed, or even if there is, spyware like Pegasus, which the government is trying to use to track which one of them they deal with. In all this, if you keep your wits about you, there is always hope for you to get out of situations. And you should not be a victim just because someone has got a technology. Finally, it's about keeping your wits and keeping your mind with you so that you do not end up in situations where you feel helpless or you feel that, there is nothing that you can do.
Sir, even in your book, like you have quotations from Bible and Mahabharata. So there's a conversation between two characters where they ask each other, like, what do you actually mean by, I'm talking about the incident of Eklavya, where Prem asks Alice. So how much importance you give to the epics, the reading of epics and understanding it for our generation?
Personally, I feel I don't think I've read any book better than Mahabharata. I think it's the ultimate book that I have read till date. I do not consider, Bhagavad Gita, if I consider as part of Mahabharata. Okay, otherwise, of course, Gita is ultimate, but I'm treating Gita also as part of Mahabharata. Because I don't think, if you see the number of stories, the number of variations, there is nothing that is not there in Mahabharata. If you look at it, I'll give you something which you may have thought about, but many people may not. Let's say Mahabharata tells you that Draupadi had 5 husbands. That means it is like telling 5 brothers marrying one girl. And, with the sanction of the mother, which is something unthinkable even today. Normally, if you read like that, you'll call it, that pornography, erotica, that kind of stuff. But in your epic itself, they're saying, okay, for whatever be the reasoning they're given, they decided that, there'll be one woman who will be wife 5 to 5 brothers. And that the story progresses like that. Or, let's say, even for, something else, like for each of the aspects, let's say now, since you mentioned Eklavya,
Yes.
Eklavya, depending on whom you are speaking to, it gets 3 perspectives, even today. When you speak to somebody from the Hindi heartland, he will tell you, see, from that time onwards, the discrimination against the people have been happening. The Dalits are discriminated then also. Even in Mahabharata, he was discriminated. There was somebody talented who could master the weaponry. They did not want him to master because they thought he will be a threat. And on the other side, if you see that the plebeian answer will be, they say, Acharya Drona said Arjun was his favorite student. He didn't like competition, so he knocked off competition. So the second one. And the third one is, which I mentioned in the book, is that anyone, a Kshatriya who handles a weapon, his mind should be tempered to handle the power that goes with it, which is very important, irrespective of what everyone else says. Because it's not only enough to wield a gun, you should have a mind which is tempered, which should knows when to use and when not to use. So that's only difference between a terrorist and a soldier. The soldier, his mind is tempered, so he is also given the same weapon that a terrorist uses, but he doesn't go around killing like the way that guy does. So that's a difference. So that is a very important part. So I believe that understanding of Ramayana and Mahabharata. Ramayana talks about, Ramayana is what I call the letter of the law. That means you just followed the law by the letter, but whereas Mahabharata is all about the spirit of the law. If you say strictly, has the law been by the letter of the law, have you complied? No. But as the spirit of the law has been complied, yes. Because in Mahabharata, Duryodhana goes by the letter of the law, he does not follow the spirit of the law. Whereas the other side, they follow the spirit of the law and not the letter of the law. So I guess, I don't think in Indian context there is anything more rewarding than Mahabharata. That's the ultimate book. I mean, even all the books written by all Indian authors together, if you put, it won't be a patch on that one, I think. There's so much in it, so much. I mean, of course, it's for you to read, understand, and discern. Then only.
And every time you read Mahabharata or you watch it, like a new perspective comes to you. So when I read the incident of Eklavya, and when you mentioned that you should even have a mind to, handle the power, the weapon, that stayed with me for a long time. It stayed with me. Because if today in writing world also you have the power, you have everyone has the phone, they can go keep on type and they can send the word. But it is the right choice of words and the time that makes the difference of a writer. That does.
Of course. That always goes without saying.
Okay. So your book has the starting line which has, "May your faith and love remains true." The starting page itself, has a quote. May your faith and love remains true. This quote also makes the reader to ponder, and then they need to think that really what are the boundaries or what are the guidelines of faith. Like, first, faith is very subjective. What are your thoughts on this stuff?
So that's what I said here also. In this case, faith, as I said, it stands for the value system of the individual. So now here comes, I will not get into morality as a subject because that will go beyond the scope of the book, and that is a very social topic and difficult to handle otherwise. So to give you an example, when you read about Esther years, if you read about the ancient times, then they say that he was a rich man. He had, 4 wives, 100 slaves, 100 cows, 100 bulls. Now, the wealth of a man was measured in terms of the slaves and the animals that he had. Today, if you talk about slavery, it's considered a crime even to talk like this. If someone was even keep a slave, he will be kind of ostracized from the society. Human bondage is not accepted. Whereas there was a time when that was accepted in the society, and it was a norm that somebody was lucky, he was on the right side, somebody was wrong, he was ended up being a slave. Or even for that matter, you don't have to go very much far. Let's say you come to the 10th or 11th century AD, Qutbuddin Aibak, the slave dynasty. The dynasty is called a slave dynasty because he was a slave. As late as 10th century or 11th century, when the rulers had slaves from Central Asia because they never trusted anybody else to add for their personal bodyguards or whatever reasons. So, which is something which you will not think about today. So similarly, when you talk about, when I say may your faith and love remain true, what is intended is to say that whatever you believe in, finally, it's human life is about what you believe in. You believe, so you are. So the whole question is wishing everybody that whatever you believe in, whatever value system you believe in, when I say not in the negative sense, in the positive sense, whatever your value system you believe in, and it should. We are wishing that hope that it works out for you. And of course, and the most important part is there is no life without love. At every stage in life, it doesn't matter which stage in life. So it's like, so I am wishing everyone that as a child, Indian society is still, we are one of the better societies where, the families are still the smallest unit and it is not broken down to individuals yet. So there are a number of broken homes are very less. As children, you grow up in a family with, for majority of the times, yes, the children feel loved. And, there's a system of interpersonal relationships wherein people feel that there is a connect and, there is someone else, the other who's caring for you or someone loving for you at every stage in your life. This is very important. Whereas if you read on the counterpart on the Western society where they've said individual is more important than, let's say, family and other things. The breakup of the families and, there's so many problems which are related to this. So here, when I'm saying in this case, we are just wishing them. So may your value system and the people whom you love, may they remain true to you.
Remain true to you. Okay. So this book, Faith and the Beloved, is garnering very much good reviews, and it's getting popular day by day. So are you penning another book, or are you relaxing and enjoying the success of Faith and the Beloved?
No, that is that part. That is penning another book. The answer is always yes, because as my preparation goes on, so one of the most important aspects of writing is being able to observe and capture correctly. So that means be it a railway station, be it a bus stand, be it an airport, be it people, wherever you are, unless you're able to observe people and capture what is not seen easily, and writing details takes a lot of observation. So that part is always on. I keep doing what I call character sketching. Anytime I meet somebody or read about somebody or see something in television which you think is interesting, you make a note of it, and there's what I call an anvil of array of characters which I keep. So even including, so I keep mentioning this to people. So whenever you hear about people or incidents which are well beyond the norms, so you make a special track of it. So most of the time will be reported in the media that about murder, rape, or somebody killing, or some events which you think are out of the ordinary. So there are times when you think, I will quote an example, that the incident which I quoted about the parents killing their children along with them in Colombo, it stayed with me for quite some time. Because, to think that a father would come out of a burning car and prefer that his children die with him than, leave them to chance on staying alive. They may be alive, maybe that he does not know, but he prefers that he dies with him than getting the children being left to the mercy of the crowd. Similarly, so there was an incident in 2009 or 2008. There was a girl from Uttar Pradesh by name Tabassum who killed her parents, 2 elder brothers, sister-in-law, and one small child, all because the family stood against somebody whom she wanted to marry. She drugged them and axed them by night. An unbelievable story when you hear. And she was a double postgraduate, very well educated girl. Now she's still, she has had one child also out of a relationship. That boy is 12 years now, 13 years. She's in jail and she's been sentenced to death. Initially, when I read that story, I said, I did not believe it. I said, this is not a thing which an Indian girl can ever do. I said, must be a mistake. She has been fixed. There must be a criminal behind, there's somebody else who has done this. So for first 3-4 years when I was following the story, I was thinking that it will come out today, okay, maybe there's a gang, something else behind. But finally, when reality sinks on you that this girl, for whatever reason, decided to do this. Can you imagine that? Something unimaginable. But there is an odd individual who has done this. Under whatever compulsions, I do not know why she did and why she was motivated. So when you get events like this, you start sitting and thinking on why a value system. How can the loved child of her parents and her brothers kill the whole family because she wanted to marry somebody else? His love so powerful that for your love, you'll kill another 5 people. So these are questions which come up. So like that, so story writing is not just one thing, one fine day you sit down and start writing. No, there's a lot of background work which goes on. So that process is on, and definitely I will be writing another novel next year, not this year, but next year, yes.
So it will be another crime thriller, sir?
I have not decided. Let me see how it goes.
What you like to read? I know, being a thriller writer, you would be reading more of thriller stories. Apart from thriller, what do you like to read?
As a matter of fact, I have stopped reading fiction since 2009 when I started writing. That is a deliberate choice to avoid even an iota of plagiarism by mistake. So, and to develop a writing style which is your own, when you read other novels, you tend to get influenced. So, since 2009, I don't read fiction. That's a bad thing also, because you're not current in what's bestsellers and what's the latest thing in the market. That's a limitation you have. But then one hopes that you cover up for it later. I'll write one more book before I start reading. But otherwise, I do read. There was a time when I used to read a book a day.
Oh, wow.
So, but I do read across the spectrum all kinds of books, starting from R.K. Narayan from 1 and 2, all kinds of books. Any kind of book I have read across the spectrum.
this is a very good lesson or a tip for all the budding writers also. Like if you want to write on a particular genre, so switch off your mind from other things so that you can concentrate on your writing and your originality. That is a very big takeaway for us also, sir.
No, it is very important because I believe, see, nobody wants another R.K. Narayan or another Vikram Seth or another Jumba Lahiri or another Arundhati Roy. They're all existing. You be somebody else. That's how it is. You don't need copycats, no?
Yes. So, any last message you want to give it to our viewers, sir, about your book?
Well, I'll say those who are aspiring writers, observe and write. And for the readers, I'll say please read and check out.
Yes, sure. Yes. Thank you, sir, for giving your valuable time and discussing the thriller concepts and the way to, nurture a book in such a manner so that it touches each and every heart. I must say, the book is for mature adults, like if you want to, because there are few points where you may feel, overwhelmed with the situation or as a reader. So read it slowly. You will get to know the pace of the book, and once you read it, once you complete the book, so you will definitely start believing, yes, there is a hope and there is a faith in this world. Every person can't be always white and black, as sir said. There are shades of grey in each and every person. So if you are looking for a book which is around faith and a crime thriller, which is built in such a manner, like when you are in half of the book, you don't know like how the things are getting interlinked, and that is the curiosity level, it increases in a reader. Thanks a lot, sir, for sharing your views in Aura Author Interviews. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's all for today, guys. I hope you must have enjoyed this episode, and if you do, then do follow our podcast Reading the Author, available on all the leading podcast platforms. And don't forget to buy the book Faith and the Beloved. Thank you.